There he is!
How's it going? I'm so sorry. The sound check went really long for the Witcher, so forgive me if I'm out of breath.
You're good.
How are you all? Good. Great. How are y'all doing? Good? Good. Also. All right, let's take a moment just to transition here. Well, I catch my breath. I'd love to take some, suggestions, or not suggestions, but basically, I just want to ask y'all, what are some of your favorite parts of being a furry? Anybody at all?
For me, it's been creativity.
Being creative, I love that, yes. So, over here. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes, expressive and also performing.
Yes. I love that. I love the aspect of performing because you probably could tell. Any more? Yes, I see that, Paul.
Just being able to meet all the wonderful furs in the community.
Yes, yes, the community is a great aspect of the family. Yes. Being accepted by all those that care for you. That goes into my speech that I'm giving in like half hour. Because this fandom is like a family to me. And yes. That's a family. I'm sorry?
A sense of family and belonging.
A sense of family and belonging. Yes.
I just like anthropomorphic animals in general, and even like media involving anthropomorphic animals, like Utopia and Winds of Change, even like Chicory and Colorful Tale.
Yes. Yes.
I'm supportive of this community. How much everybody, we all come together.
Yes. 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 Forgive me, I don't have my notes in front of me. I see one more.
Well, just a question for you. Can I get you a drink of water?
I'm good. I stopped in the hallway to grab one.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, let me get back on track. I'm so sorry. So I know that a lot of times haters will they'll kind of be like, ew, you're a furry? But one of the things that we have to do, one of the best ways to combat that is not by yeah, I'm a furry, what are you going to do about it? No. Honestly, one of the best things we can do is just simply explain to them what we like about it, why we're doing it. Because if they're worth your time, they will listen to other people's perspectives. There's a lot of people out there that won't, and that's, honestly, at that point, who cares what they think? You know? So just be willing to, take it when people aren't understanding. But at the same time, if they are, be willing to explain it to them. It's just, honestly, I could just spend the whole panel just gushing about how much I love this family. And I'm brand new, so I haven't been exposed to all of the worst aspects of it yet. But the positive aspects are what we should focus on. A lot of times when I make videos, and how many of y'all have seen my videos? Just so I can put it right here. Oh wow, okay. Wow, well thank you so much for watching. One of the things that I get a lot on my videos when I talk about the positive aspects of the fandom is I always get these comments that are like, well yeah, but what about such and such? What about these people who are doing terrible things? What about this thing that happened? And that's not really helping our cause at all. Because we're always having to fight for people to understand what we enjoy about being a furry. I do apologize. I'm very frazzled right now.
You're good.
Did anybody have any more things that you just loved about being a furry? Any other aspects? Be very gentle. Yes. Oh my gosh. This fandom. The primary difference that I've seen in this fandom from other places that I've been, and I've been in a lot of different types of groups. Anyway, I won't go into that. But the thing I have noticed about the fandom is yes, they're very gentle, they're very accepting, they're very loving. And also one of the things that shocked me when I came to the fandom was how everybody is very concerned about like getting consent before hugging or giving a high five. Like it's very, I wish people would focus more on the wholesome side of the family because that is where all of these wonderful things flows from. Any more things that you like about being a family?
Well, for one, it's just, brightens someone else's day.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love seeing the joy on people's faces when they see a really beautiful fursuit. It's just amazing. Yes, I see that, Paul.
Just how accepting some of the other, like, especially where I'm from, just the acceptance that I get from the community that I live in.
Yes. Yeah, the acceptance. You mean like from the normie community?
Yeah, from like people outside of the family.
Yes. That's awesome. That is so awesome. I finally remembered some of the things I wanted to talk about. And honestly, I'm going to touch on all of this during the Winter Feast opening invocation. So if you guys hear a little bit of repeat, that's because I very much was in a rush getting things together. As you can tell by the way I ran in the door there. Yes. Okay. So one of the things, I'm good, thank you. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is just how this fandom gives people a place, gives people that don't ordinarily have a place, somewhere to be, somewhere to love, some community. Because I would wager that a lot of us in this room have felt very alone for a long time. I know for me personally, I never really fit into any group. I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. And then I joined the fandom, and everybody just welcomed me with outstretched arms. And it's just, I just love it. This fandom has changed my outlook on life. It's changed so much.
Are you coming or not?
And I'm very happy because being somebody who is ADHD and on the autistic spectrum, having a place that I can call home is so important. I've noticed, because one of the things that people always got annoyed at with me growing up was how hyperactive I was. I was always getting into trouble. I was like a husky that, had no mental stimulation, just knocking things over. I once broke a candle in a classroom with a basketball. And I was just always hyperactive. I was always just running all over the place, and I was always getting in so much trouble for it. And now that I've joined the fandom, all of a sudden, I have an outlet for all of this energy. And now I'm discovering I don't feel the need to be hyperactive in day-to-day life anymore. It's just, I know I'm going to say this a million times because I just do, but I just love this fandom for how it caters to every aspect of you as a person. I can't think of one aspect that the fandom doesn't cater to. Let's see. I had a question. I totally forgot what it was. Do any of you have questions? I'm so sorry. What got me? That is an excellent question. Even when I was a kid, I definitely had a draw to anthropomorphic animals. Look at that stuff because it's furry. And then I just started loving her art more and more, and we actually started talking. And it was like, wow, this is really cool. And she's like, well, if you like this art, you should join my server. And then it was all downhill from there. But in the server, I met some people that just, I never met people as genuine as furries are. The moment that it really struck for me was, I wasn't even supposed to have my phone. I was on a camping trip with my church. And I was I went off into the forest because I had service, and I went off into the forest and I went on a voice chat with the server, and it was just really cool, getting to interact with these people who just were so honest and real. And it was the first time, because a lot of times, not even just in Christian circles, but in general, people have walls all around them. Just for a variety of different reasons, to protect themselves, for keeping up an image that they're supposed to have. And when I'm sorry?
It's like keeping people out.
Yeah, it keeps people out. And when I started talking with those furries, like, I just felt my walls dropping. Because, well, first off, because I tend to kind of mimic the people around me, which is dangerous in its own way. But I started to slowly, like, break down the barriers that I had been given towards the furry fandom. And over a long period of time, I think I first saw Street Fair's art, I think, in 2017, maybe earlier than that. And I didn't join the fandom until 2022. So I'm a fairly new furry, so if I say anything that's not correct, feel free to be like, hey Milo, you're wrong. So feel free to do that. But it's just, I've never seen a group of individuals that have stuck out to me as genuine and honest and being fully open. And that doesn't mean you air out everything. Like, you don't have to go around being like, I'm depressed, you know. But it's okay to be like, you know, I'm okay. I'm not doing the best, you know. Because one of the things that makes us people is the connection with other people. And when you put walls up around yourself, you are robbing people of that connection opportunity with you. And so that's why I joined the fandom, really. It wasn't just the art, it wasn't just the amazing characters. It was so much deeper than that. Having Milo has changed me as a person, and like people have noticed this. I am a much happier individual. I'm a much more rounded individual. I'm so much more just, sorry? Expressive, yes. And I've always been an expressive person, don't get me wrong. I was a theater kid. And a middle child. So that you've got two things going there.
Well, I can.
So, just like, we're trained a lot to put up the walls that you know, that we're trained to put up our own prison. But when I put this suit on, or when I'm in VR, I just feel free. I feel free to be myself, and I feel free to just connect with people. I mean, within 3 months of joining the fandom, I made the best friend I've ever had, and still have ever had in my life. His name's Sky Pup, and he's amazing.
Oh, go ahead, let's go.
He's the most adorable floof in the fandom. And I will fight you. But it's just, it's really cool how, despite people making the fandom out to be just a bunch of stuff that we shouldn't be, you know. You get what I mean, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of deviants.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good way to describe it. So instead of viewing the fandom as that, I finally began to see like why people do this. Because when you're on the outside looking in, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. When you're on the outside looking in, and you're used to people having walls, and you're used to people just being very guarded. And then you see people who aren't, and then you see people, you know, like the dance competition earlier, like people freely expressing themselves. It's so special. It's so special. Yeah, does anybody else have any questions? Because that definitely led into what I wanted to talk about. I saw this hand first. I'll get to you next.
I'd just like to point out, you talked about how when you got Milo and so much more expressive. I definitely noticed that when you're making videos and you like that about this new avatar is you went from like an old like kind of brownish one to one that looks exactly like persona, and you just became so much happier all the time. I noticed, and I love that energy.
It was so great because it became personal to me. Because before, if you don't know, I was making content with a public avatar. I did a lot of digital fursuit videos with a public avatar. And you're right. Like the second I had Milo, that was when it was like, man, I really get to be myself, and I really get to develop a sense of who I am by just cosplaying as this character that's mine. You know, it's so much more personal when it's your own character. So yes. Is there a lot of fear or apprehension? I'm sorry. Meeting the community? Yes. Oh my goodness. How many here are? It's either their first ANW or their first FurCon in general. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. That is like that. I understand. Okay. Literally a month ago was my first FurCon ever. So I can understand how you may be feeling, how you may be, you know, a little bit apprehensive. But what I was just talking about is so true. Like, you can go out and you know, obviously don't be annoying, but you can go out to all these people and you can just say, hi, how are you? And like, if you really connect with a person, you can be their friend literally like that. I love that about this community. The friendships are so like, and it's nice because without the walls up, you can tell whether or not you or a person are going to connect really fast. I mean, there were friendships that I had growing up that it took months before we realized, oh man, we really don't like hanging out with each other. No. Because the more comfortable you get with somebody, the more you kind of brick by brick let down your walls and your protection, you know. And it's like, and then all of a sudden you're like, why were we friends in the first place? But like, when you let down those walls, when you don't have those walls in the first place, like, yes, you're way exposed as a person. You are very vulnerable. But also that means that you can immediately see if somebody's gonna jive with you, right?
Yes.
Words. I'm just a dog.
The English language, what does it mean?
Yeah, I learned the English language a year ago when I became Christian. Anyway, I like to tell people that. Sorry?
It's hard having dog brain.
Yes, yes, I have dog brain constantly. I like to tell people that my first language isn't English, it's sarcasm. Yes.
So why did you choose your dog as your species?
That's a really good question. And honestly, that goes into the psychology of like why we're doing this in the first place. I made a dog my persona because, well, as we just mentioned, I have dog brain.
Yeah.
So this is what's so cool about personas is like, yes, they can be just like cute little characters that are supposed to represent us, but holy cow, they can be like full on just. I got fur. Surprisingly. They can be full-on metaphors for who we are as a person. Like, for instance, I mentioned I'm ADHD and I'm on the autism spectrum. My persona is a Border Collie Husky mix. And something I've noticed about Border Collies is they're very pattern-oriented and they love their routines. And so the Border Collie half of Milo is supposed to represent my autism, and the Husky is clearly supposed to represent my ADHD. If you've ever interacted with a Husky, you know why.
Oh,
Yes.
Milo, quit it, you're gonna start a howl.
I tried to start a howl at MFF, but I didn't. Very sad. I know. Maybe if I would have had my suit at that point. That's a funny little story about MFF. Milo was delivered to my apartment literally 6 hours after I got to MFF. So, yeah, this is my first FurCon with an actual fursuit, so I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand.
Okay.
Yes.
How do I help a friend who's struggling?
How do you help a friend that's struggling?
Yeah.
That is a good question. The best way you can help a friend who is struggling is simply by listening, giving them a space to talk. Because as much as you may understand their situation, as much as you may, kind of empathize with them. Nobody understands their emotions, or not really understands, but nobody understands the fullness of their emotions except themselves. And so by giving them a space to talk, it gives them space to process what they're going through. It gives them space to just kind of work out why they're feeling the way they are and why they're going through what they are. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess.
Is there more, like, how can I help?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, shoot, I won't have a lot of time afterwards. I'm so sorry. Yes.
So right there is how you help a friend, is you just simply ask, how do I help? Because a lot of times people will be able to answer their own questions if they just have someone to reflect off of.
That's very
So
true.
posing that question of, how can I best help you, gives them the invitation of, hey, like, I'm here for you, but also I'm not trying to like impose my views on you, or I'm not trying to solve all your problems, because I know that you have the aptitude to do so for yourself. You know?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is very good. Yes. Oh my gosh, I see hands. Let's go with you.
So to add on to that, I've been in similar situations, and I've learned that everybody's situation is uniquely personal to them. So don't try to learn their situation, rather just sit down and have them come up to you rather than you coming up to them, because when they can trust you is when they'll start talking things out.
Yes. Yeah.
He pretty much summed it up perfectly. It's just like, don't help them by letting them come to you. If they trust you, if they feel like you can.
And you can take,
English is hard.
and you can take that a step further just by being a person that is worthy of, them coming to you.
Yeah.
If you're a trustworthy person, then it's going to be so much more healthy if they can come to you.
I've been in situations like that myself. I'm still experiencing situations like that myself. Finding people to talk to, it's difficult. Especially, because everybody's situation is different. Not everybody's situation is going to be the same as yours. And just trying to figure it out, it's not going to make you feel any better. It's just going to make you feel worse. And especially if you don't know how to help them, just say, hey, I'm not sure how I can help you personally, but let me give you some advice that may help. And that's all you can do. Just lend a soft ear, a gentle voice, and just, say, hey, I don't know exactly how to help you, but let me give you some tips that might. That's all you can do.
Sometimes just,
And sometimes just being an ear, that's all you need. Some people
That's
use
just what I
listen.
was going to say. That was exactly what I was going to say. Just sometimes being near is the best thing. I thought I saw a hand over there somewhere.
It was over here.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yes.
Actually, did someone else want to say something?
No, I think you're good.
Well, I guess, how can, or what would you suggest to someone who's even though they find, they feel they have a sense of place within the fandom and are looking to, I guess, interact with more people, especially if that person is a little bit of a drifter, and usually if they try to start something, often they basically trying to interact with a fellow furry can kind of be a gamble.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or how to how can someone maybe not feel as guilty or as ashamed if they don't stick the landing.
That's a really good question. It took me a long time to get to a conclusion on that. And honestly, the biggest thing I can say is just if things don't work out between you and your friend, that's okay. Not every friendship is supposed to work out. So don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of a friendship that doesn't work out. Don't think of it as a failure. Think of it as a growing experience, a growing opportunity. Because there are people, some of those people that I spoke with in those voice calls, like we did drift apart, and it is sad that we are not, we're not talking to each other as much anymore. But it's like you can still be grateful for the time that you did have with somebody, and it's like I get it. Like it's so hard to make friends initially. Like it's so difficult. I think it's so important to be willing to put yourself out there and understand that if you fail, it's not failure. It's just like, listen, some people it takes longer for because you need a specific type of person to care for you. And that's not a failure on your part. That's not a failure on anybody else's part. It's just how life is, Not everybody finds the person that they want to hang out with all the time right away. But please don't give up on looking. I wish I could just like do it for you. I wish I could just make things. I wish I could make things work out. The amount of times I've said that while doing these mental health topics, like I wish I could just just make it happen. Sadly, I can't. And growth is an important part of being a human. It's an important part of the human experience. Is getting past things that don't feel like they're getting pastable. You know what I mean.
Yes.
You understand. Yes. Yes. Sorry.
One thing that I have found really helpful is friendships are often like flowers. If you think about flowers from the perspective that some of them just die and don't come back after a year. Other ones, however, have seasons. Sometimes they're blooming, that might be when you're hanging out with a friend and you're spending a lot of time with them and you're having a great time. That could even start right at the beginning when you first meet them. You meet somebody at a con, you're having a great time, you spend time with them, and then what happens after summer? Well, then it comes fall. That's when things maybe slow down a little bit. You get back into your normal routine of going to work or whatever else you might have going on in school, things like that. And sometimes things become dormant in winter. But also, even when friendships can be dormant, it doesn't mean that they're dead. It just means that they're hidden underground, waiting for the springtime to come back in order to spring and pop back. And the really cool thing about seasons is that change is happening around us all of the time. The great thing about change is that it means that everything is temporary. So any of those good times are temporary. Enjoy them while they're happening, and then remember them and respect them when they're not. And then anytime something bad is going on, it also is temporary. So there's always going to be a good time.
Very good. Amazing. Yeah. I definitely have seen my fair share of friendships that went dormant, and then they were revived. I had something to say, I totally forgot it. Well, what were you? What did you have to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say,